is Jonathan Agoff here for Pro Boxing Fans. Delighted to be joined all the way from Colorado in the US by the WBO Super Featherweight Champion of the World, Mikaela Mayer. How's it going?
Going pretty good. Just staying in the gym, staying in shape, waiting for the call.
It's been a few months now since you were crowned champion. Dominant win. What's life been like since then? Anything different?
No, not really. I mean, there's still so much that needs to get done, so much more I want to accomplish. Beating Eor Brodnicka was just the first step in getting everything else done. So, I needed that win to put me in position for these next two title fights and to become undisputed, which is the ultimate goal. So just tried to stay in shape, and I wanted to unify right away. That was the goal of mine. So I made that obviously known to my team. And it looks like we're in negotiation now with Eddie Hearn for Maiva Hamadouche in May.
Yeah, we'll get onto that. There's certainly a lot of big fights ahead. A lot of fights, well, one in particular that the UK fans desperate to see you and Terri Harper at some point. But before we get into that, your win over Eor Brodnicka, it was a dominant win. Was it as comfortable, more comfortable than you thought it would be?
No, it was more annoying than I thought it would be. I was very confident going into that fight. I believe I was more well-rounded than Brodnicka. But the whole camp, Coach Al, who's a genius strategist, amazing, but really a strategist, and he is so good at coming up with game plans and seeing things that a lot of people don't see when it comes to studying tape and studying an opponent. And the whole camp, he was like, listen, I've fought girls like this before. Like, I know you're going to win. I know you're a better fighter, but her style can be tricky. Someone who constantly runs around, is on their bicycle, moving around the ring, and then going from that to immediately tying you up, it can be tricky and annoying. So we need to train specifically for that. And he was really adamant about it. And once again, he was right. He's always right. But it was annoying. She would move. And then the second I closed the space, she'd grab and hold me. So it was definitely an annoying style. Like, I'm not a fan of the style. I don't think it's entertaining. So I had to press the pace, and I had to make it exciting. And that's what Coach always wants for me in my fights. It's not, he always knows I'm going to win, but he doesn't just want me to win. He wants me to look good doing it. I think that's what's going to help elevate my career and elevate women's boxing, is being exciting and being fundamentally sound.
Have you been with your coach Al since before the Olympics?
Yeah, I've been with Coach Al for about 12 years. Been with him for a long time. I was trained with him to get ready for the 2012 Olympic trials. I made it to the finals against Olympian Queen Underwood, but I didn't get that. We trained another 4 years, made it to 2016, and then he's been my trainer also the pros. So it's about 12 years I've been with him.
So it must have been quite a special moment, not just for you, but you as a team winning that title.
Yeah, for sure. And we had 3 solid years of fighting as a pro to get to that world title. We tried to get it earlier on, but we really had to work for that world title shot. And I think that it ended up working out perfectly because we got a handful of experience before that. We had 13 fights before that, and Top Rank moved me really well, put me up against a handful of different styles. And the transition from the amateurs to the pros is no joke. It takes really time to develop that transition, to develop that style. And I think that it took a little longer to get the world title shot, but ultimately I was better off because I became a pretty well-rounded pro.
What is the main differences you found? Because obviously you went to the Olympic Games. So was there, obviously, it's different sort of style and no headgear, but what is the main difference apart from that, stylistically?
Well, I got taken away from, when you make the Olympic team, you get taken away from your head coach and you got put with Team USA. And so I got taken away from Coach Al for a little bit when I made the Olympic team. And I was training with Billy Walsh, who's a Katie Taylor's old coach. He's Irish, European style. So I sort of adapted to that. And it's a really different style. It's very different. And in the amateurs, it's a really popular style. It's more about scoring, right? There's not a lot of strategy. I think the biggest difference in amateur and pro boxing is you have more time to develop a strategy in the pros. You need to stay behind your jab. You need to set things up. You have time to look and see things more. Whereas in amateur boxing, you have 3 3-minute rounds, and it's more about. I mean, at least I was trained to just let your hands go. Just let your hands go. So I like the pros because that's what boxing is to me. It's a sweet science, you know, and setting things up and staying behind your jab and making a perfect strategy for opponent. You know, you want to make it the easiest fight possible. So I think that's the fun part about being pro, and you know, but it's hard. And then going to the body as well. Coach Al really wanted to know how to fight on. I mean, he always knew I fought on the outside because I'm tall and long, and that's what he taught me to do first. But he knew that if I was going to be a good pro and an exciting pro, once again, because he knows a lot of women don't really work the body like that. He wanted me to be different in that sense and really be well-rounded. So he really, really pushed that on me, go into the body. And I think that in my first half of my pro fights, people thought, why isn't she using her height and reach? Like, why isn't she using her height and reach? But I was learning on the job. Coach Al said, you know, you already know how to box and move. I need you to know how to fight on the inside. And I can't teach you when you need to know it. I need you to practice it and learn that now, so that when we get to those fights where you're going to need to fight on the inside, someone gets you there, you know how to do it and you have the experience. So, you know, that's why he's just such a genius. And I look back now and like, I appreciate how he moved me so well and forced me to do things and forced me out of my comfort zone and really made me a well-rounded fighter.
Not only did you win the world title, it was a bit of a historic moment, I'm sure, for yourself, being the first female in Top Rank history to headline an ESPN main event. Just talk to me about the significance of that.
Yeah, that was for the fight before against Helen Joseph.
Oh, was it the Helen Joseph fight?
Yeah, that was
yeah.
I was headline. I actually headlined a little bit by default because Jamel Herring tested positive for COVID. But, you know, regardless, it was great for women's boxing. And I think gave me a chance to really prove that I am headline material, main event material. Proved it not just Top Rank, but to ESPN and to people tuning in who maybe never have saw a women's boxing match before and now are fans.
How big is, I guess, women's boxing out in America? Because over here, especially during the summer where we had the Terri Harper and Natasha Jonas fight, we had Chantel Cameron, we had Savannah Marshall. It was really hotting up over here. How big is it over in America?
It's a little tougher over here. I've always said it's a lot tougher over here. You know, Hearn is doing great by signing a lot of women and pushing that. But I'm still Top Rank's only female. Golden Boy has a couple, and it's just a lot tougher, I think, over here. We got no offense, but I mean, our country's really big. I feel like we're not just competing like with other boxers. We're competing for ESPN spots against like the NBA and the NFL, and you know, that's one of the reasons I can't even fight until May is because of March Madness and all these big things going on. So I think that the challenge is going to be like building women's boxing in America. Like, it's doing well over in the UK, but we can't really say that we've built women's boxing until we're at a point where it's well known in America. I think America has always been the challenge. It's just the pop culture, Hollywood, everything. It's just a little tougher out here. So, you know, I'm doing my best. Claressa Shields doing her best. We got a handful of girls out here, and I think we just need promoters to continue to push us and put us on big cards, and we'll see. But it's still got a long.
I think that is a key point. We're pretty much a tiny island, and boxing's one of our main sports, especially of recent times. But do you feel like there is a kind of expectation? Do you put that pressure on yourself to make to sort of help the female game out in America at all?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely pressure there, but it's pressure to me. Like, this type of pressure is privilege, right? Because I am one of the few females who have this platform, and you know, I asked for it. I wanted this. Like, I don't mind taking on this role. I definitely want the next generation of women boxers coming up to have a pathway into the pros. You know, and I didn't have a pathway into the Olympics or a pathway into the pros when I first started, so I really don't even know what I was thinking. But it's tough, and so I want them to have that path. And I have a great promoter. I have a great platform on ESPN, so I definitely feel a duty to like represent women's boxing the best I can, because for some, the only female fight they've ever seen.
I've got to ask, that said, what actually attracted you to the sport in the first place?
Um, well, long story short, I was a little bit of a rebellious teenager. I was in 4 different high schools before I hit my senior year. I just wasn't on the best path, had a little bit of a rough home life. So it was just sort of like an epiphany in my senior. I didn't start till I was 17. So I just wanted to try something new. I wanted to start something new. I want to do something positive. And there was a Muay Thai kickboxing gym down the street from my house that I had driven past for years. And I just decided to walk in one day and sign myself up. And I think like most people who start boxing or any combat sport, it's like, it's either not for them or they fall in love with it. And I completely fell in love with it. And just, I stopped going out on the weekends. I buckled down in school, and I just really dove into it and told myself like a few weeks in that I wanted to be the best female fighter in the world. And this was like when the female fighter was Gina Carano. Like, remember back then?
Mm.
So yeah, I just passion drove me. I really didn't have a plan. I had to figure it out as I went, like a lot of females that were, started back then, but passion just drove me to get it done.
Pretty cool. Let's go on to some of the upcoming fights for yourself. You mentioned Maiva Hamadouche holds the IBF title. Is that the most likely fight considering Terri Harper's injured at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows I wanted Terri Harper. I think I got a lot of fans in the UK, but I think I got a lot of people who don't like me. And I'm trying to make the fights happen. I just want the big fights.
Mm.
And I've been wanting to fight Terri. There's been some build up behind that. It's exciting for the fans. It's exciting for me. Like, I'm totally into it. She's injured, but she also signed a contract already with Choi. So I've been calling her out for over a year, and they still decided, she could have easily said, let's make that fight happen with Mikaela, and she didn't. So whatever. I still wanted to unify. She wasn't the sorry, Coach Al was calling me. She was not the only girl on my hit list. So
Yeah.
Douche is free since Choi and Harper are gonna be fighting, I guess, in April is the word. I'm not sure, but now we're negotiating with Eddie about Hamadouche, and hopefully that can happen in May. I think, they've been going back and forth the way promoters do, money wise and all that, and I think we're waiting on their response for our offer.
So, I mean, would you prefer in an ideal world to fight Terri Harper next, if that was possible, or if it's going the way it's going and yourself and Terri come through successfully, then it's probably an even bigger fight because it's undisputed.
Yeah, this fight has been building, and I'm okay that it hasn't happened yet because it's been brewing and building, and like I want the world to be watching, and it's important for women's boxing. It's important for our careers. It'll make a bigger fight. But I still want her. I think that it's brewed enough, and I think that it should definitely happen next. Like, I don't think that she should be skipping over to Choi. I think she should take on the challenge and fight me first. But I don't know. It's part of Eddie's plan. It's part of whatever's, I don't know, it's plan. I don't know if Eddie, I don't even know if Terri has a voice in this whole situation. She doesn't even run her own Twitter account. So we'll see. But I'll take the next fight because I don't want to have to fight another American or, put my belt on the line for not a unification fight. Like, I think this division is the most exciting division in women's boxing, and there's no reason why we shouldn't make these big fights happen and set an example for boxing. I mean, women, this division of, not just the division, this era of women's boxing, like, we're hungry, and you can see. And so I'm ready to change boxing. I don't want to be sitting here worried about a loss. That shouldn't matter. I think we should make the big fights happen. And if you're an exciting fighter and you're putting on a good show, then people should continue to want to watch you fight, and big fights should just continue to get made. But everyone's just scared of keeping this perfect record, and time's a wasting.
We had, I think, in November, a female triple header card with Katie Taylor headlining it. And it was available on YouTube, I believe, or Facebook, and it got huge numbers. Would you ideally want to come to the UK to fight Terri Harper?
I definitely want to come to the UK eventually. But I want to unify these fights on my turf. I want to be in America when I unify these fights. Like, I think she would want to be in her home country and I want to be in mine. But ultimately, that's not going to stop me from making the fight happen. That's up to our promoters to wheel and make that. Sorry, Coach Al keeps calling me. That's up to our wheel and deal and make it happen. And ultimately, if that's where I have to go, then that's where I have to go.
What do you think of stylistically as a fighter? How do you think you'd match up?
Against Terri?
Yeah.
I'm the more well-rounded fighter. Terri has shown shown to be a good boxer, but she also has been exposed and she's shown a lot of weaknesses against the in the fight against Jonas. She showed that she really still doesn't have an inside game, and she showed in her last fight against what's her name that she's good on the outside, basic 1-2-3, but she's still a little green, and that she's not going to be able to walk through me like she did the last opponent. So I can fight on the inside, I can fight on the outside, I have a high punch count, I'm fast, I'm strong, and I just don't think that she's going to be able to keep up with my pace.
Well, I think everyone in the UK is enjoying the Twitter back and forth, so keep it up. What about Natasha Jonas? Is that a future possibility for you?
Yeah, I would love to show Terri Harper how to fight a fighter like Natasha Jonas, but that's not really something that's going to happen right away, because I think and I think I speak for all the champs in this division right now. I think we all want to unify, and that's one thing I can tap my hat off to all these girls is, even though we've all been a little heated, is that we're all hungry to unify. I think we all want these fights. I don't know about Choi because she hasn't said much at all. She confuses me, but I know we all want to unify, and so Jonas put up a good fight against Terri Harper, but she didn't get the decision, and now we're moving on to unification. And maybe once we unify, if she's still around and still wants it, she can take a shot at that. But I don't know. It's just too hot of a division. It's hard to get a second chance in this division right now.
What's your ultimate goal when your career ends? Is it to be multi-weight world champion? Is it just to have the biggest fights possible? What legacy do you want to leave behind to the next generation?
I want to definitely be a multi-division world champion, but I also just want to be known as a very technically sound, well-rounded fighter who'd never dodged anyone. Like I said, I don't care about the losses. I don't think anyone can beat me right now, but I also am not going to try and pick and choose and hop through to try and keep my O. I want the biggest fights, and I want to challenge myself. I got maybe 5 years left in the sport, and I want to challenge myself so that when I walk away from the sport, I don't have what ifs, or I should have done this, I should have done that. I can just say I laid it all on the line. I did my absolute best. I fought the best, and I think boxing. I want to help change boxing in that way.
Does someone like a Claressa Shields inspire you as to what she's done, she's doing, going into MMA, getting a new fan base, headlining on pay-per-view in a few weeks' time? Are you I know you know her quite well, but are you inspired by her journey as well?
Yeah, me and Clarissa, we're Olympic sisters for life. Our journeys are both changing right now, because she's been champ, she's gone undisputed, and now I'm on that path, and she's challenging herself and taking herself to MMA, and I get it. I understand why she's doing that. MMA is huge right now for women. It's been hard for her to get a fight this last year, and so she's a fighter. She's not just gonna sit back and pick her nose. She wants to get out there, and she wants to keep fighting and challenging herself. So she's gonna go to MMA. She's gonna build her brand. She's gonna make a shit ton more fans, and then bring all that to boxing. So hats off to her. I wouldn't do it because, shoot, I don't want to go get kicked in the head. I was gonna do it in the beginning after the Olympics. I wasn't getting a fight contract, but I still feel like there's some big fights for me in boxing, so I don't have to go do that. But hopefully she can go reel in a ton of new fans in MMA and then bring them back over to boxing. And yeah, she's that a lot of people wouldn't do. So
A couple more, Mikaela, because I know your coach Al wants you probably back in the gym. Claressa made some comments a few weeks ago talking about Jake Paul. She'd fight him if she could, and I wanted to know your opinion on sort of this new craze of YouTube boxing fights. Jake Paul's fighting Ben Askren. You had Floyd Mayweather the other day saying he'd fight Jake Paul and Logan and 50 Cent. What do you make of it as a fighter, and just generally your opinion?
yeah, I was really thinking about this because I was trying to decide where I stand. Someone asked me this the other day, so I'm really trying to decide where I stand. And ultimately, I think that as long as people are talking about boxing, I'm okay with it. I know it's weird, and I know it's a weird era, and like, it sucks that this guy can come off YouTube and take a first fight for $1 million, but it's just a new day and age. Like, social media is changing the world big time, and I just think, like, right now, as long as people are talking about our sport, that's important, because there's a lot of people who say that boxing has died, and that's absolutely not true. And I think this new era is definitely going to bring it back even stronger. And it is what it is. It doesn't affect me. I'm going to keep grinding, and like I said, I just want people to be talking about the sport.
I appreciate you coming on, Mikaela. Hopefully we get some big fight news coming soon. You versus Hamadouche, or you versus Terri Harper. Do you want to send a last message to either one of those fighters and you UK fans?
Just check my Twitter.
What is it?
At Mikaela Mayer 1. I've said it all. Everyone knows I haven't been quiet about what I want to get done and what I think, and I want these. They can say anything they want about me, but I'm building this fight up. Terri and Steffi are gonna get Steffi Bull will come thanking me once it's all over, because he's gonna get the biggest payday he's ever gotten. So he just needs to relax and let the banter go on. I learned that from y'all, banter. And this is boxing. This is entertainment at the end of the day. Like, ultimately, like, I really could care less. Like, I don't have hard feelings really towards anyone. I just don't give a shit. I just want to make these fights happen, and I want to make the most of my career and entertain the fans. So let's get it on.
Well, I'm sure we'll see that fight. That's a big fight. Hopefully we'll see that later this year. Mikaela, appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we'll catch up again.
All right. Right on. Thank you.